please welcome Rachel Rose Dazey. She's a multidisciplinary artist, a professional goldsmith, a jewelry designer, and a photographer. And she has a diamond graduate degree from the Gemological Institute of America. That was the first time I've ever said the word gemological.
Yeah.
She is best known for her bespoke fine jewelry company, Dylan Rose, which she started with her husband 10 years ago now.
Yes.
And over the past 10 years, Dylan Rose has become a creative hub, hosting art shows, collaborating with local chefs and creators, uplifting fellow artists, and crafting heirloom pieces, of course, for people across the world. And you mentioned tonight you're hosting a women in business group. And you may recognize her also from her beautiful face on the side of the highway coming into your commute for work. She has some of the best billboards in town, if you're asking me. And we're so excited to chat with her today. You just did an amazing panel for us with Tulsa Women's Business Breakfast. And I'm just excited to get to know you a little bit more. Everyone, Rachel Rose Dazey.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to sit down and
Catch up.
Yeah, share about what I'm doing.
I love it. Now, I am scared that I'm going to call you Dylan.
It happens a lot. I go by Rachel, I go by Rose, and I go by Dylan.
Yeah. Okay. So Dylan Rose.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before this that when I first took over the socials for 36 Degrees North, which used to be Gradient, that you were maybe one of 100 accounts that they had already followed. And so I've been a fan of your work for 6 years now, just kind of watching from a distance and seeing all the beautiful pieces you've created, and then seeing some of my friends getting engaged with your pieces. And it wasn't until recently, and this is terrible, that I learned your name was not Dylan, but it is a mashup of you and your husband's middle names.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I talked a lot about you professionally doing your intro, but I know that you're also a wife, you're a mom. So I'd love if you could talk a little bit about what your life looks like outside of work, which I know is a big question considering when your art is your work and your passion, it all really overlaps. But what are you doing when you're not working?
So ideally, I'm camping, like
Okay.
in a tent on the ground. I love to hike. I love
Yeah.
to kayak. Just totally unplugging.
Yeah.
I didn't have any social media or engage with computers very much at all until I started Dylan Rose and was like, okay, I'm going to be a businesswoman, which means I need a website, which means I need to be on social media. But I'm a big
Had to get on
fan
the grid.
of like unplugging and getting under the stars.
Yeah.
And I feel very comfortable in the woods.
Rachel has just an amazing library of stories on her website, Dylan Rose, where you can go and just read about her life, her experience. I read about how your story as a, I guess, professional or a career jeweler started whenever you traded earrings in Mexico for a meal.
Yeah.
Let's zoom back to that time. And can you, I mean, truly your story like kind of reads like a screenplay for an amazing movie. So if anyone here is looking for a story to write a movie about, this girl right here has one. But can you zoom back to that time and just give us the picture of what that was like and how those experiences led you to where you are today?
Yeah. So at that time, I had decided I wanted to live in Mexico. And really, I thought I was pursuing a path towards being a National Geographic photographer. That was my like dream job. And I had my film camera with me.
Yeah.
And I had already done like a series of gallery shows featuring my photography.
Okay.
And so, but I was just traveling very nomadically at that point. Like specific moment, I was living on a school bus with about 3 other people, and 2 of them were jewelry artists. And so
You were living on a school bus.
yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So I was going to be my second time going to Mexico, and actually my husband Seth was in Mexico, and I was like, I'm going to make my way down there, and we should, link up when we're there. He wasn't my husband at the time. We were romantically involved. I could say yes. And he said, on his way down to Mexico, he was in Austin, met some people that were fixing up a school bus to drive to Mexico.
Love.
So he was like, you should go meet them. He gave me their address, and I just showed up at their house, and I said, I hear you're fixing the school bus up to go to Mexico. Can I jump on? And they were like, great. Do you know how to build anything? And I was like, I can use a saw and I can use some basic tools. So I helped kind of build out the kitchen area and hung out in Austin for about a month while we finished fixing the school bus up. And then we drove it to Mexico. And I was one of 2 people that knew how to drive the school bus because they taught me. So I got the privilege of driving a school bus in Mexico, which in the rural areas, I did great. In the cities, there were many times when I would stop in the middle of the street and just get out of the seat and say, somebody else needs to drive now. Because they have like these narrow cobblestone streets in Mexico that are really difficult to navigate in a big school bus.
This does
Um,
not sound real. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is a screenplay for an amazing movie.
so that's how I got on the school bus.
Okay.
And like I said, two of the people, we hung out outside of Mexico City for a while.
Okay.
And it was just people would come and go. And, everyone was living a very nomadic kind of open lifestyle. And two of the people on the school bus, like I said, were making jewelry. And I was like, this looks like fun. Like they would go and sell it in the marketplace. So I made some little bracelets with them and then took it out to a taco stand and I watched them trade. And so I was like, I'm going to try this out. So,
Bring bartering back,
yes.
honestly.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm a huge fan of bartering.
Yes.
And I do barter all the time. That's why I get massages is I make jewelry.
You
for my
stop right now.
masseuse. Yeah.
What
It's
skill do
incredible.
I have? I've got to wrap my brain.
It's amazing. But I went up to this taco stand and I asked her if she wanted to trade a bracelet for some tacos. And she kind of like, cocked her head and then she looked at my bracelets and she like this huge smile went over her face and she picked out her bracelet and I put it on her and she started like showing her friends down the street. And it was just this moment of like recognition that adorning her made her feel great about herself, and the tacos were delicious, by the way. But it was this like my previous art forms had all been very distanced from people. I would say like as a photographer, I was behind the lens photographing them over there. Even as a writer or a painter, like other art forms that I had explored. But with jewelry, it was like very directly collaborative and I was watching somebody react like immediately and they were wearing those pieces on their body. And something about that just sparked within me. And it was, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And so then I was getting to eat tacos that were delicious.
Oh, yeah.
And so then from there, I just started selling in the marketplace. And if I made money in Mexico, that meant I got to stay in Mexico longer. So
Beautiful.
and really just pursued jewelry from there on out.
When did you return from Mexico and bring your talents back to the States?
It was about a year later.
Okay.
I returned to Tulsa. And I literally got back to Tulsa with $1 in my pocket. I had zero money.
That's so great.
But I had met
Was it a dollar or was it a peso?
Right, yeah. I think it was 7 pesos actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I had met some silversmiths in Guatemala. And I was like, that's like a more refined way of creating jewelry. And I really want to pursue that and learn how to do it. And so when I got back to the US, I enrolled in a silversmithing class at Waterworks, which is actually a City of Tulsa run art center.
Amazing.
And I put my jewelry in a few coffee shops and started selling it. And just kept doing it from there.
Kept doing it. And now you're 10 years in, you own your own beautiful location.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that journey of growth? When did you realize that it was time to open your own shop? How were you making it before that? I read that you were doing this a lot out of your apartment. By this time you were married, maybe had kids, and you were doing it out of your home, and then you moved into a bigger facility, eventually bought that facility.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that journey of growth and when you knew it was time to like graduate to the next step?
Yeah, totally. So when I came back from Mexico, I was still making jewelry, putting it in coffee shops. And then I started doing art shows like Mayfest or, festivals around the country. So I would drive, do my whole booth setup, show my work. And I did that. I married my husband somewhere in the next few years. We had one child. We were still living pretty nomadically and like lived again on a school bus for a few years. I had my son when we were living in a school bus.
Get out of here.
Continued to live like a very bohemian lifestyle. I mean, basically I was dropping out of society in a lot of ways. Like I was not really into the extractive environmental society. I was not really into like capitalism and patriarchal gains. Like I was just, there was a lot I didn't love about commercial entities. And so I didn't really want to engage that much with them. So it was very much like, and me and my husband both also kind of come from this punk rock background. And so it was like, okay, let's just kind of be dropouts. And we, went on bicycle trips that were cross country, motorcycle trips, cross country, eventually bought a school bus. Like we're living this in many ways, very beautiful, but like, it became kind of stagnant, and lonely. So I had been selling jewelry for many years,
Mhm.
but I was pregnant with my second child, and we kind of just took a hard look at our life and said, okay, we know we want to be full-time artists. Um, we didn't choose the society that we were born into. We were born into the society, and how can we use it to create a life of freedom for ourselves? Like freedom is really what we're after here. And that's both like freedom of thought, freedom of action, freedom of financial freedom, like
Sure.
any way you want to define that.
Yeah.
It really encapsulates one of my highest values.
Mhm.
And so that's when we decided to found Dylan Rose.
'Kay.
At that point, we were living on a farm, but we knew that we were going to be moving back to Tulsa probably when I had my second child. And so we moved back to Tulsa, founded Dylan Rose, and I gave birth to my daughter like all in 1 month, which was a lot, but it was also like a beautiful unfolding of a new chapter for my
Sure.
life, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of this like, okay, my life is going to look different from here on out. And it was just very pivotal. And we built out our website. We bought a computer. We bought a digital camera for the first time. Like,
And what was the year you bought your first computer?
so I don't think it was my first computer, but it was,
Yeah.
my first serious computer.
Yeah.
It was 2015,
I love it.
right? Yeah, 10 years ago.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you, at your core, you are who you say you are. Like
Yeah.
you are living the life that you are portraying, and that
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Yeah. So I founded Dylan Rose, and then I was continuing to do art shows. I had the studio in our house right outside of downtown Tulsa,
Mhm.
and all of my pieces have always had a story.
Yeah.
So I would set up on the first Friday art walk, and people would come up, and I would tell the story behind the piece. Like, well, I was thinking about this, and this, ring has this theme and should make you feel this way, or you can think about this empowerment when you're wearing the ring. And from that, people started asking me to tell their stories with my pieces. And so the custom work started increasing, and then clients needed to meet with me, and we lived in this like fixer-upper little house.
Love it.
And so then that's when I was like, okay, I think I need a studio.
Sure.
Moved into my studio and shared it with a few other artists for about 5 years, and then took over the space in 2020, and then decided I should buy a building if I was really going to be here in Tulsa and be investing in this community. And luckily, a couple years later, the owner of that building said he would sell it to me. So I
Amazing.
bought the building 2 years ago.
That's a big
almost.
deal.
It's huge.
It's a huge
Yeah,
deal.
it's huge. And for me, it was really intentional. Like I looked at other artists that are mid-career or late career and was kind of like, what's the theme of these artists that are continuing to be able to create and haven't had to like sell out and go get a job? And a lot of it was real estate. It was because it creates this stability for their life
Oh, yeah.
that allows them to have this freedom.
Yes.
And so that's really been my path for the past 5 or 6 years, is like, how do I create stability in a variety of ways so that I can continue really being true to my creative heart, right? And
Yep.
not get burnt out
Yep.
on like the grind and hustle, which it still is a grind and hustle. But
Yeah.
how do I make it more sustainable?
Yeah. Absolutely agree. Before we moved into this building, we had 3 different locations. We leased all of them. We were very limited on what we could do, with the actual infrastructure of the building. We couldn't
Mhm.
change it much to serve the people that we wanted to serve. And that was a huge driver in why we purchased this building and renovated it, was to create a space that, after doing it for so long, you know exactly what you need and what the people you serve want. And so we were able to take this beautiful historic building and turn it into something that could really be a tool and a resource for the people that were in it. So I completely understand, just how the fluctuation of even renting someplace and not it truly not being yours can affect that mentality of longevity.
Yeah, totally.
You've talked about how your first time working with gold and diamonds, it was the cost of the materials was more than you had in your checking account. So really, if there were mistakes made, it was very, very high risk. And I'm curious, now that you've done it so many times, does the fear of failure does it lessen, or how do you balance just such a high stakes career? And I'm sure being a perfectionist and you want
Yeah.
every piece that you deliver to be exactly what the person wants. What is that like for you as a creative?
I mean, I still struggle with it. Like almost every custom piece I finish and I'm really proud of. And then I go through this like, but what if they hate it?
Well, if I
What
have
if
to
it's
melt this
not
back
right? What if it's wrong? But I also like, having done it so many times, there's going to be failure. Like when I first bought my casting machine, which is kind of allowed me to get into a lot more of the bridal work. It's just it's an ancient technique of casting, lost wax casting
Okay.
method. But I bought this vacuum machine that I hadn't used before, and I had so many failures. And I cried after every one. And it was like, it was like gut wrenching. What am I doing? I'm way in over my head. Like that feeling is
Yeah.
so large.
Mhm.
Um, and I got through it, and I figured out the little like that the instructions were not to be followed because I don't know who wrote them, but they were wrong.
I'm gonna
And
hire her to rewrite the instructions.
but you just when you're in a thing for so long, you recognize that failure is part of it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why also like creating a sustainable, strong foundation is so important
Mhm.
because you're gonna hit bumps, you're gonna have failures, you're gonna have hard months.
Yeah.
And so the more stability you can create kind of around you is really important. And as an artist, creating systems that I can rely on
Yeah.
has been really, really important and something that doesn't come naturally to me. And so that's
Yeah.
been like a huge learning curve is
Yeah.
systems can actually help keep me accountable
Mhm.
and keep me like, yeah, just keep things running smoother and
Oh,
make my clients
completely.
happy.
I'm
Yeah.
really traditionally not a process gal. I'm kind of a go with the flow gal, but I have discovered it's humbling, that there are processes that really do allow you that freedom that
Mhm.
you're looking for.
Totally. Yeah.
It gives you some guardrails to work within and some standard procedures that maybe will help eliminate some of those fears and the risks.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
I'm curious because you talked a little bit how you're just so like not a capitalism girl and
Yeah.
like I can just tell from speaking to you like you're really not in this to for the money and I
Mhm.
am curious for other entrepreneurs out there who
Mhm.
maybe have struggled with their skill set becoming more honed and just being better at their job and better at their practice. I see a lot of people having a hard time raising their prices
Mhm.
and making it a fair value for the people that they want to serve, but also
Mhm.
making sure that your expertise is not being overshadowed by your
Mhm.
desire to do a community service project. Like
Yeah.
how have you navigated that as an entrepreneur that
Mhm.
this is your full-time thing. This is,
Right.
your family's livelihood, but you're also really passionate about giving back in community.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to really believe in what you're doing, like hardcore, and really be able to stand behind your product.
Yeah.
If it's a product or a service, like you really have to be able to say, actually, I know it's the best.
Yeah.
And I'll, if you need to, I'll
Damn
prove it.
straight.
I'll prove it if you need me to. Um, and that's been so core to what I'm
Mhm.
doing is, I seek criticism. I ask
Oh,
for
yes.
critical feedback. I ask for negative feedback because that's how I get better. I mean, some of my largest learning curves have been from clients that were unhappy.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to walk through that. But I knew every time it was like, okay, well, how do I use this to make the system stronger? How do I use this to create more accountability? Because I am going to ask for a fair price.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Tiffany's is any more valuable than than
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
and I can stand behind my work. And so I think that, I think women really struggle with knowing their value
Yeah.
and really embracing their value.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've definitely had to learn. And it's still hard for me, to be honest, like to
Yeah.
charge what I need to be charging for my pieces.
Sure.
But it is what it is.
A
And
learning
I know that
curve.
they're worth that.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How many pieces do you think you've done? Do you have a catalog?
So I have a much better catalog now than than I started with.
Yeah.
But I've created thousands of
Yeah.
pieces,
I mean,
hundreds of engagement
I was
rings,
just
I would
scrolling
say.
and scrolling
Yeah.
and scrolling, and it is crazy. There is no two pieces the same. They are
Yeah.
like seriously, they're snowflakes.
Yeah.
It is so special what you're
Mhm.
doing, and I'm like, take Tiffany's price, double it. This is what this
Yeah.
woman should get. Like you
Right.
are amazing at what you do. Like
Mhm.
I can tell that you've really honed your abilities, but it's also just a natural ability that
Yeah.
can't be replicated. So congratulations on seriously
Thank you.
an amazing catalog. But I figured it had to
Yeah.
be somewhere up in the thousands because
Mhm.
you should be very, very proud of yourself
Thank you.
and your family. I know it really
Yeah,
takes like a support system too to
for
accomplish
sure.
all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, motherhood, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
That's my next question.
okay.
Talk about being a working mom.
Yeah, it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I will say entrepreneurship requires sacrifice
Mhm.
that if I knew the sacrifice going into it, I don't know if I would have made that choice.
Yeah.
but it's also really beautiful to get to watch my kids see me achieve my goals.
Completely.
Um, and yeah, they get to see their mom working really hard
Oh, yeah.
to do something that she cares about a lot.
Yeah.
And so that outweighs the hardship
Yes.
of working so much. But it really is. I think I've said it a few times, so staying connected to your heart
Mhm.
and remembering that I'm a mom as much as I am an entrepreneur and an
Yeah.
artist. And I really believe in having balance in the family in a way that's like like I require a lot of responsibility from my children,
Yeah.
and they see that modeled in me, right? And so I can't ask that of them if I'm not doing it myself.
Yep.
And so I really believe in parenting through action.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love being a mom.
Yeah.
If anything, I definitely wish I had more time to just be present with my kids. And it's
Mhm.
something I am really intentional about. Like when I get home, my phone goes on do not disturb.
Yeah.
We're all in bed by 8:30.
It's the
We're up
best.
early. Like I am disciplined in that way because I found that I really need that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I have 2 kids also,
Yeah.
and so I'm always, seeking out other mothers who have been through a similar experience to me, maybe as far as work goes, but also
Mhm.
my perspective is that, you know, no matter which way you slice it, if you're staying home with your kids or you're out
Mhm.
here working, in the world, there's sacrifices both ways. Like, there's truly no
Totally.
shortcut, easy way to being a mother. And I
Mhm.
respect all paths, that are put in front of each path
Yeah.
is different for each
Yeah, totally.
person.
Yeah.
But gosh, it's the seat that I sit in. I'm a
Mhm.
working mom, and it's so
Yeah.
hard. You get
Yeah.
home and especially I have a small baby. It's like she's asleep.
Oh, yeah.
I get home, that girl's asleep, and she's asleep
Yeah.
until her next bottle, and then she goes back to sleep for the night.
Yeah.
So that discipline, I think that you're talking about, of
Yeah.
setting boundaries for when you get home.
Mhm.
Work's done. I'm in my family time now,
Mhm.
and that really fills me up to be able to come here the
Yeah.
next day with like full,
Right.
come full and like have clear eyes for the task before me.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about you being business partners with your husband,
Mhm.
and we've got a mix of people here as well that are also business partners with their partners. What do you have any takes
Mhm.
on that? Like any tips and tricks that you want to share about living with someone that you also work with?
Yeah, I think radical honesty
Yeah.
is really important. Which I don't think we really talked about. That is the name why our business is named
Yes.
Dillon Rose. Is my husband's name is Seth Dillon. My name is Rachel Rose.
Mhm.
And when we decided to found the business, he was doing a lot of sculptural artwork.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of jewelry artwork. And
Yeah.
so we were like, let's just make one umbrella business for our arts practice
Yeah.
and name it Dillon Rose. Because we like the way it sounds, and
Yeah, it's perfect.
it's also like it's its own entity. It's not my personality. It's not his personality. It's a project
Mhm.
that we're working on collaboratively.
Yeah.
And I really love that being able to have that relationship to it. And
Yeah.
it helps me keep like a healthy distance
Right.
and attachment to it. But yeah, it can be really difficult
Sure.
to
Hey,
work with
be
your partner
honest.
because
Yeah.
you're working with them and then you go home to them,
Mhm.
and there can be conflict either in business that then you have to like get home and like try
Yeah.
and strip off so that
Yeah.
you can have a healthy home environment. And
Mhm.
then there can be conflict at home that you have to try and not bring to the professional arena.
Completely.
And and so there are
Completely.
definitely times when we have to kind of pause and say, okay, I'm having this conversation with you as your
Mhm.
business partner. I'm
Mhm.
not having it with you as your wife.
Mhm.
And
I
I
think
need
you're an
you.
awesome husband, but you pissed me off at work today.
Right, and I think it's like it's also like, okay, what's like I said, radical honesty and having appropriate relationship.
Mhm.
Because I can be an incredibly emotional person,
Mhm.
and there are times when he needs to be able to bring me professional feedback that I
Mm.
take on not as his wife.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna sleep with him later that day,
Yeah, completely.
but I can listen to him as,
Yes.
like, as a professional woman that's like, "Oh, I can see how I wasn't thinking as critically in that moment, or how I like let that system fail, or didn't follow protocol or whatever."
Yeah.
And being able to kind of like switch hats, I think, is really important, and
Yeah.
recognize that yeah, you are always their husband or wife, yes,
Yes.
but also develop a relationship that's a little bit outside of that.
Yeah.
I think can be really healthy. And again, the systems really helps because then you're like, hey, this isn't me nagging you.
Right.
This is me saying,
You
we have
bypass
a
the
system
system.
for a reason, and let's follow the system because we
Yes.
know it works well and we've agreed to follow it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What is his role kind of day to day at the studio? Is he still doing sculptural
Mhm.
stuff or is he full in on jewelry?
So he's pretty full in on jewelry now, and he's really become our main stone setter. He's
Oh,
an
wow.
incredible stone setter.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually because it's pretty sculptural, like he's
It
moving
makes
metal in a
sense.
sculptural way.
Yeah.
And so he's doing a lot of the stone setting and finishing work of the jewelry.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You both have found your groove.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that that is something that just comes with time and practice
Mhm.
and exercising that muscle.
Yeah.
So Gradient, formerly 36 Degrees North, we
Mhm.
are known for supporting startups and small businesses, but historically really not much interacting with the artistic community other than just a couple, one-off opportunities that we
Mhm.
have. But now that we've had the chance to move into this amazing building and we just had this awesome local art curator, Shane Darwent, come in and put in some pieces
Mhm.
from local artists, we are really looking towards the future of how we can use some of our strengths to help support local artists. And I'm curious from your perspective, um, what are some things maybe in the early days of starting your practice or even now as you scaled, what are some ways that an organization like Gradient that doesn't have really artistic experience but knows the business, what are some
Mhm.
ways that we could support local artists to succeed?
Mhm. Well, I think helping artists view themselves as entrepreneurs
Completely.
is really helpful because a
Yeah.
lot of artists don't graduate from art school thinking of themselves as a business
Yeah.
or as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And kind of, one of my goals has been to bridge that gap and say, yes, I'm an artist, but I'm also a valid voice in the business community.
Yeah.
Um, and then providing the kind of like tangible structural support the
Mhm.
artists need, like for filing their taxes, for figuring
Yeah.
out how to found an LLC, for,
Mhm.
kind of all those like small business
Yeah, the
things
universal business
that
needs.
that a lot of people just don't know how to navigate. And
Yeah.
I kind of learned how to navigate that on my own, but it's a barrier to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of foundational support
Yeah.
is really helpful.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
And like just using the entrepreneurial language in
Mhm.
regards to your art practice, I think can
Yeah.
really help people take ownership of their practice. I think so many artists rely on galleries or arts institutions or kind of like external universities
Yeah.
to, talk about their work or to sell their work, and or they get kind of co-opted by corporations that want them to do an ad campaign using this artwork, which those are all fine things.
Yeah.
There's no right way to be an artist. Use all the support structures you can, but I've definitely seen artists kind of get taken over by
Yeah.
that. The language that's used around their art is fabricated by somebody else,
Yeah.
or even the direction that their artwork goes is in response to
Mhm.
what's needed at an institution.
Mhm.
And so having that ownership has been really important for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I founded a brand, was because I recognized there's just so much potential and power when
Mhm.
you own it and when people come directly to you for your work.
So for startups and small businesses, there's a couple different set ways that you can get funding, bootstrap, of course, or friends and family or venture capital. Is there for artists, what's the path for that like? Are you mostly
Mhm.
bootstrapped or outside of like fellowships? Is there a path for you to find funding to continue your art?
So a lot of people rely on like fellowships,
Mhm.
grants are really important in the
Mhm.
art world. Um, Residencies,
Okay.
you can come live here for
Yeah.
a month or two and have your, food and shelter taken care of while
Mhm.
you create. So that's really those kind of programs are really important for artists.
Yeah.
I've been mainly bootstrapped. Like I didn't go to art school and didn't
Mhm.
go to college, and I've really stayed outside of the institutional realm,
Yeah.
um, because it's worked the best for me,
Yeah.
and I haven't really fit in. I'm not comfortable with all the art world lingo. I think a lot of it is a facade. It serves some people well. It doesn't
Mhm.
serve me well.
Sure.
Um, and so, yeah, I've been mostly bootstrapped and definitely had to learn. Like I tried to engage with financial institutions and realized they weren't going to talk to me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
They were like, what are your assets? And we're like, 84 Toyota Corolla that we share.
A farm? I don't
And
know.
they're like, well, we're not going to give you a loan.
Oh,
So, I'm bootstrapped by necessity, but
yeah.
that's also, meant that I had control, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Look
Mhm.
for the silver lining. I would love to see Tulsa support the incredible fine artists that are in Tulsa. We have a really incredible community of artists here, and I think that Tulsans looking for fine art often leave Tulsa to find that. And
Mhm.
there's something beautiful about buying a piece of art when you're on vacation that'll
Yeah.
remind you of that. But I really would love to see Tulsa investing in the artists that we have here
Yeah.
outside of like, we're going to give you grant money or we're going to give you a fellowship. Like, just
Mhm.
support the artists for the art that they do.
Yeah. You're so right. I mean, I've seen some incredible work from
Mhm.
local artists that you
Mhm.
really would have no idea, like, they're not platformed enough.
Right.
I think the art crawl does a good
Mhm.
job of, y giving some opportunity, but there's just way too many people
Yeah.
and way too many amazing folks out there doing incredible art that we don't know about. If you wanna shout
Mhm.
anybody out, please feel free. Is there anybody we gotta keep our
Yeah.
eye
Yeah.
on?
Well, I did just found the Riverbend Arts District with the neighbors that have their
Oh,
studios
great.
all around. Shane Darwin is one of them, his
Yes.
wife Elspeth
That's so
Schultz.
nice. Yeah.
And then the Belafonte is right there, and they
Okay.
do really incredible gallery shows, music shows, comedy shows.
Yeah.
There's incredible potter, Jeff Wells,
Okay.
he has a teaching studio, but is a phenomenal ceramic artist
Yeah.
in that neighborhood. So you can follow Riverbend Arts District.
Love it. Shout out.
And we, try and share what all the different artists in our
Yes.
neighborhood are doing. And
That's
then
so great.
every year we have an art crawl and people can come tour all the studios.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. You are extremely involved in the community. You've been a
Mhm.
part and led several initiatives. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about why Tulsa and the local artist community is so near and dear to your heart and how you've been able to kind of lead that and be a part of it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be where I'm at without other Tulsa people really supporting me. Like I said, I used to show at the First Friday Art
Mhm.
Walk, and that's when I was living in a school bus, and I had this like little desk in the back of the school
Mhm.
bus where I was making my jewelry, and I
Yep.
had this little wooden case. You can actually see the case if you come to my studio. It had like
Oh,
lace lined on
cool.
the inside, and I would hang all my earrings. And then I would just show up on First Friday and like set up on the sidewalk. This was 15 years ago at least. And First Friday was not what it is today.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody come up to me and they were like, we need more street artists because I was the only street artist. And now you go down there and there's street artists all over the place. But I was literally like the only one that was like, I'm just going to set up on the street because that's what I did in
Wow.
Mexico.
Sure.
And so I was like, I'll do it here.
You're comfortable there?
And the galleries just were so nice to me. When it got cold, they were like, you can come in and show your work inside.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not like part of your thing. They're like, we don't care.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so Donna Prigmore and Mel Cornshucker,
Okay.
they have a pottery studio on Reconciliation Way, right
Mhm.
across from Guthrie Green.
Yep.
Mel's work is in the Smithsonian. Donna's like an
Okay.
incredible potter. A lot of people don't know that they are world-class ceramicists.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, they just totally invited me into their space when I was showing my work on
Yeah.
for the First Friday
Yeah.
sidewalk. And so whenever it was cold or the weather wasn't good, I would set up in their space. And RC Morrison, who helps run the TAC gallery, similarly was just like so friendly and so supportive. I ended up
Mhm.
having a gallery show at the TAC gallery because of that, just like warmth and
Yeah.
belief in what I was doing. And so having people that just, saw me, believed in
Yeah.
me, supported me, not
Completely.
from a financial perspective, but were just like, you're doing good work, keep doing it.
Yes.
And so I think I just really want to pass that on
Mhm.
to other artists in the community. And I think also being an outsider artist that's been able to create a sustainable career,
Yep.
if I can do it, anyone can do it. Like, I'm serious. It takes some grit,
Well, I do think you're
determination.
special, but that's a nice sentiment.
but but I love I think that I shared this in the panel that we just had, but
Uh-huh.
there's an Annie Dillard quote that's the way we live our days is of course the way we live our lives.
Mm.
And I think about that quote a lot because it's like, how am I living today? And am I resonating with my heart and my purpose? And what the world needs is people that are more alive and that are living in their passions. And so if I can help foster that in somebody and help them believe in the dreams that they have and
Mhm.
connect with themselves more, then my purpose is fulfilled.
What a beautiful bow on our conversation. The last thing I'll ask you is you've just celebrated 10 years of Dylan
Mhm.
Rose. What's next? Do you have a vision for what the next 10 will look like, or what are you thinking about?
I think what's next for me is really just continue to refine my work. I
Mhm.
think it's been the past 10 years have been a lot of like push, push, push to create stability and to market my work well and to
Mhm.
basically prove myself. I feel
Yeah.
like I've spent the past 10 years proving myself. And the next 10 years is going to be about kind of like sitting
Yeah.
in that and being able to really refine the work that I'm creating
Mhm.
and create incredible talismans of power for
Mhm.
people. That's really what I want to do. And I want to see that network of people that are collecting my work grow internationally.
Beautiful. Rachel, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I am, of course, your biggest fan. So thank you for entertaining all of this. And that is a wrap.
Thank you so much. This was great.